To the United States, where it's a case of then there were three. Another Republican presidential hopeful has ended his campaign. Rick Santorum has pulled out of the race for his party's White House nomination.
Now that leaves the frontrunner Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich and Libertarian candidate Ron Paul. Mr Santorum says while his campaign is over, the Republican fight certainly isn't.
I walked out after the Iowa caucus victory and said, game on. I know a lot of folks are going to write, maybe those even at the White House, game over. But this game is long way from over. We are going to continue to go out there and fight to make sure that we defeat President Barack Obama, that we win the House back, and that we take the United States Senate.
Well, for more on this, our North America correspondent Jane Cowan joins us now from Washington. Good morning, Jane. Why has Rick Santorum pulled out of the race?
Well, essentially it's a recognition really of the political reality he was facing, but there is some discussion here, Karina, of how much of this timing was about the family pressures he's been facing. He was actually supposed to be fronting a campaign event in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania today. That's his home state, but it turned into this news conference announcing that he was quitting. He came out surrounded by his family as usual, and the speech he gave was really vintage Santorum. He spoke from the heart. It was very emotional. He spent most of his speech talking about his daughter Bella, who has a rare genetic condition that's caused her to be hospitalised in recent days for the second time during the campaign. And he talked about his campaign as having been one that really spoke up for people like her who are usually overlooked, how he's been strong on family values. He also used this speech to really cast his campaign as one that had been unexpectedly successful. Remember, he virtually came from nowhere, and he actually described his campaign today as improbable as any race you'll ever see for president, but one where he had watched miracle after miracle unfold as he then went on to win 11 states, and he's described it as having been a love affair for him with America. This announcement today has been somewhat unexpected. Even his aides, Karina, had been saying that he would go on at least until his home state of Pennsylvania voted, and that wasn't to happen until the end of this month. But now let's have a listen to Rick Santorum bowing out gracefully.
We made a decision to get into this race at our kitchen table against all the odds, and we made a decision over the weekend that while this presidential race for us is over for me, and we will suspend our campaign effective today, we are not done fighting. We are going to continue to fight for those voices. We're going to continue to fight for the Americans who stood up and gave us that air under our wings that allowed us to accomplish things that no political expert would have ever expected.
So, Jane, what does this mean for the Republican nomination race? Does that mean it's Mitt Romney's?
It is. I mean, this essentially hands it to Mitt Romney. Ron Paul and Newt Gingrich are still in the race, but all the primaries remaining now will be essentially a matter of going through the motions. What's perhaps most interesting is what wasn't in Rick Santorum's speech today. There was no nod to Mitt Romney as the nominee now. There was no endorsement of Mitt Romney. Rick Santorum made a vague statement about still being committed to the fight and to going out and defeating Barack Obama. A journalist shouted out, does that mean that you're now behind Mitt Romney? But that wasn't answered. There has been bad blood between these two campaigns. It's been a very bitter fight to this point. Mitt Romney's campaign has already put out a statement saying, I mean, it was pretty vanilla also, just saying that Rick Santorum had run a good campaign, congratulating him on that, saying that he'd been an able competitor and that he was an important voice in the party. But now is when the healing is going to have to start for the GOP, because now they have to focus on the general election.